Hey y'all, it's your girl Chef Kyra and welcome back to another episode of New York Eats. Welcome to my food channel where we talk about everything nice, sugar and spice, baby. So for today's episode, we are going to be making baby blooming onions. So I decided to go with blooming onions for this episode because I had some leftover white pearl onions, or just white boiled onions. Same difference, just two different names, but just for the same thing. And I was like, you know what, I need to figure out how to do something with this. So I decided to make some blooming onions. So let's just get started. Alright y'all, so as y'all already know, I always put up our list of what we're gonna need for our ingredients for this recipe. This time I'm not displaying everything, but you will have the full list here. Alright y'all, so let's get started on what we're supposed to be doing as far as getting our onion prepared. I'm gonna have a top view and then also a side view for you guys so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So we have the root of the onion and we want to leave that intact so that our onion stays together. And so this is just what it looks like, and we're gonna cut the top of our onion off, and just a small amount of the onion for the top because it is a very small onion. So we have that off, and now we're just gonna peel our onion and get that cleared out, and it just peels off nice and easy. And then we'll clear off the bottom, make sure that looks really good, clean off any excess, stemmy parts that are in need of being taken off. And so we'll just put our excess stuff to the side. And so now that we have our cutting board cleared off, we're gonna put our top facing down just like that, and we're just gonna go along the onion, and you want to go in till you get to the center of the onion. So you take a small knife, come in, turn your onion, cut again, turn and cut, turn and cut, turn and cut, turn and cut, and turn and cut once again. And then once you've done all of that, then you can start to break open your onion, and now it looks like a baby blooming onion. So you want to be careful with this part. You don't want to pull it open too much, just because you still want it to be intact, but you also want it to be able to bloom. So you want to repeat this process for however many onions you desire to eat. And I just think that this recipe is such a cute recipe. It's going to be great for the holidays, especially with Thanksgiving and Christmas and things like that coming up, or if you're just having, I don't know, a football party. This recipe is perfect for that. And so as you can see, you can split them apart, and you're just going to repeat the same process with the remaining onions. Alright y'all, so the next step that we're going to focus on is making our dipping sauce. So I have some Hellmann's mayo, and I mean you can use whatever mayo that you typically like to use, but I specifically love Hellmann's mayo. And being that it's a mini blooming onion, I'm not going to put too much together as far as the sauce. So I've done about a nice heaping tablespoon of mayo. I'm gonna add a nice little squirt of ketchup, so about another tablespoon, and then I'm gonna add some sriracha. And you can add as much sriracha as you want, depending on your spice tolerance. A touch of salt, and a touch of black pepper, some paprika for color, a bit of Italian seasoning. And if you don't have an Italian seasoning mix or blend, you can always just use some oregano. And lastly, some horseradish. And just a touch, because horseradish can be pretty spicy. And we're just gonna mix this together. Now if you want to brighten this sauce up just a tad, you could always add some lemon juice and lemon zest. Alright, and that is pretty much our sauce. It's all ready to go, so I'm just going to stick this back in the fridge so that it's nice and cool. And now we're going to prepare our flour and batter for the onions. So I have 2 different sets of flour. One is going to be for just coating flour, and then the other is going to be for our batter. Now with this flour, I've added some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some paprika. So I'm just gonna mix this up. And then in this batch, we're gonna have the same seasonings: the salt, pepper, garlic powder, and paprika, but there's also some cornstarch added to the flour mix. Now we're also gonna add some beer. I just went to my local deli and got some Heineken, and we're just gonna pour enough beer to make it into a batter. So I'm just going to start off with a decent amount, because we don't want to over pour our beer and then it becomes too loose. And as it thickens, then I'll just continue to keep adding more beer as I go. And you always want to add a little instead of adding a lot and then can't take away from it. So I'm just going to work with what I have in my bowl here. And so it's getting there, but we're not fully there just yet. So I'm just going to add another healthy splash of beer. Set this aside. And really begin to make sure that this is nice and evened out. Start off with our first onion, and the first thing that I'm going to want to do is separate our flowers, or petals really, of the onion. And then we're going to take it and dip it into our flour. We're going to spread those petals open while it's in the flour to make sure that we get flour all in the creases of the blooming onion. And you want to separate and add flour into the middle. And you're not going to get every crevice, but you want to get as much as you could possibly get. And it's okay if you have a petal or two that ends up falling off by chance, because it is very delicate. And so now that we have our onion coated the way it should be, you can even add a little bit more flour. Now we're going to take our onion and dip it into our batter. So I have some oil heating up. I'm just going to give that a minute for it to get to where it needs to be so that it's nice and hot. And in the meantime, you can continue to keep repeating the process of getting all of your baby onions floured up just like this. And then any excess flour, you can just lightly shake them off. Alright y'all, so now that we have our batter ready to go, I just want to show you the type of texture that you want your batter to be. So I'm just going to get a spoon, and you see how very loose it is? We want it that loose because we want a batter that is light, airy, thin, and crispy. And we want it to coat and cover every part of the onion. So we have our coated baby onion and flour. And this flour is what's going to help the batter to stick. And then we're going to take the root of our onion and we're going to just dip our onion inside the batter. And then we're also going to flip it back over, open the petals up a little bit. Make sure a lot of the petals are getting coated, and then we're gonna dip one more time, shake off any excess, and now we're just gonna stick this right in the oil. And you can even re-separate the petals before you stick it in. And now it's time to fry. Alright y'all, so we've got our baby blooming onions all ready to go, already set, nice and fried up. Now we're just gonna get these bad boys plated up and ready to go.